one of the things we have not seen solved is like this distributed system of reproducible builds, or declarative building, as we call it.
Been on this journey at Defense Unicorns to try to productize how to make secure software delivery easy, specifically in these, highly secure, air-gapped, classified, unclassified, edge/cloud. UDS is really it.
With UDS, it is now the thing that we deal with. It's very much, we're practicing like we play, and we're doing everything up front so that it's ready to go.
And this platform is fully open source. It's all on GitHub. You can see this today. You can pull this down. You can deploy this yourself.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to give everybody a couple minutes to join the live feed. I'm Rob Slaughter, one of the co-founders and CEO here at Defense Unicorns. Andrew, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Andrew Green, another co-founder and just a lowly engineer at Defense Unicorns.
And Jeff McCoy, CTO and co-founder here.
Yeah, we're super excited to talk about UDS and the Airgap App Store. For those who aren't tracking, over the last 2 months, we've announced both UDS, our platform capability, as well as the Airgap App Store. And to get you guys a sense of what these capabilities mean to the country, to the warfighter, would love to take things back a little bit and discuss the why behind both UDS and the Airgap App Store. Jeff, you spent years in the government. I recruited you out of active duty after 18 years. Have known you for a long period of time, really working on these type of software challenges. What led really you and, the rest of our team here at Defense Unicorns to make, UDS?
Yeah, I think it's after a long time in the service and being frustrated by the speed at which we got what we needed, whether that be downrange or even just back on base and stateside or overseas. There was this long lead time to get to value, and sometimes by the time we got the updates we needed, it was just too late. I mean, I could think back to in the Middle East, the war running off of Merc chat, like shareware version of IRC from the 90s. It said, warning, this is shareware, you must buy a license for this. And everyone just copy and pasted it and used that because they had no good tool to execute planning operations. And, we've gotten better over time with Kessel Run and other places about bringing value faster. But one of the things we have not seen solved is like this distributed system of reproducible builds, or declarative building, as we call it. And so I really wanted to join you and Andrew and this team on helping to solve the problem of, we have platforms of service, that's cool, but we wanted truly ubiquitous, declarative, distributed platforms of service effectively that were open source, and that mattered a lot to me to give back to the community after being in government so long. So the why is really like we wanted to do what we did at Kessel Run and other places with success, but do it in a distributed fashion that was all open source. Andrew?
Rob, did you want to share yours first before I jump in?
Yeah, I think very similar. Spent a career active duty, mostly working with software, whether on the user side and being super frustrated, or on the development side and also being frustrated, but with a little bit of success stories. And been on this journey at Defense Unicorns to try to productize how to make secure software delivery easy, specifically in these highly secure, air-gapped, classified, unclassified, edge/cloud. UDS is really it. That is the how behind Defense Unicorns. How do you actually get a package to integrate once and deploy anywhere? And so it's been many, many years building up to this point, building tools like Zarf, which is a part of UDS, but is really like, under the hood, how it operates. And just super excited to show people and, appreciate the folks that are listening to us live. And, over to you, Andrew. Would love to hear in your own words, like, not just UDS, but in your own case specifically, talk a little bit about the Airgap App Store.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'll be short and sweet on my why in this, but baby intern me right in the middle of college, joined a contract for a big SI, walk into their lab and my shoulders sunk. And it's just like that feeling that you can't escape. We can be doing so much better in defense than we are today. And that has been true for the course of my career. And I'm very excited to be at Defense Unicorns with a lot of incredibly talented and capable people with a ton of experience, diverse experience, just really pushing our vision of freedom and independence globally. Specifically, talking about the Airgap App Store, bringing the mission capability, 1,000 apps wherever your mission takes you. I shouldn't have said that while I was trying to share my screen in doing that. But we have the Airgap App Store at apps.defenseunicorns.com. And you are welcome and invited to come check this out and see for yourself everything that I'm talking about right here. But in the Airgap App Store, we have pre-integrated apps like Jupyter Hub. So I can look at this app, which is pre-integrated with UDS, a capability that I may need in my mission, consistent with all things that we do at Defense Unicorns, portable, so that I can operate wherever the mission needs to operate. So if I jump over and I have this deployment that I did in 6 minutes and 59 seconds, right here, and it is pre-integrated with SSO. And the first thing I have to do is obviously change my theme to dark mode because we're not total tools at Defense Unicorns. And then just to show you that this is a real capability that is incredibly useful and practical for any machine learning data scientist out there and otherwise, let's just try this out real quick. Here I am, greetings Starshine, UDS says hello. So just by having an app pre-integrated with UDS, I can deploy it in under 7 minutes, have it up and running, and operate that capability. Just like everything else that we do, we're going to continuously iterate on this, bring more capabilities to the mission, whatever that may be. Invite you to check out appsdefenseunicorns.com. Let us know any apps that you want to see in there or any changes to this, and help to understand why you would even think about doing this. UDS comes pre-integrated so that we can rapidly accelerate our ability to deliver software to the warfighter, which is the most important thing that we can possibly do. Over to you, Jeff.
Oh, is it my turn? Cool. All right. So yeah, so I think like the App Store is the evolution of the platform as a service, or this SaaS we've been talking about. And I think the UDS as a whole, like when we talk about being declarative and being portable, is super important, because I think the thing that people kind of take for granted is like software in and of itself is complex. Software integration is more complex, and then when you take complex software and integrate it with other complex software, it's even more complex. And then lastly, you put the DoD's both compliance requirements and security necessities underneath all of that, and it becomes this really big, messy problem. And so one of the things that we wanted to build was like, let's take all the lessons learned from all these software factories when we're in the DoD, and all these innovations in the labs and all the things that we've observed across the military. And let's try to like codify that into open source things. So as Rob mentioned, we had Zarf and Pepper and Lula and other open source tools that we've created that our goal is to donate to Foundation. Zarf is now in Foundation under OpenSSF, which we're really excited about. And then to take those and integrate those into a unified platform or view that allows us to share this declarative model with the world, and to build value rapidly, so that with the App Store plus the UDS core, UDS software factory, you can start to provision your systems and your technologies, whether it's in jets or in fighter jets or in tankers, or in ground systems or space systems, edge, cloud, disconnected cloud, partially disconnected cloud, classified environments. It all becomes kind of the same. So we're trying to take the ideas of Kubernetes and simplify them to make it more approachable and reproducible and secure with the DoD's requirements in mind. And then lastly, to produce that in a reproducible way that you can kind of stamp these out over and over rapidly. So I'm going to share my screen, if it's not already shared, with one of our tools that we've built for this. So this is a UI we built on top of the entire platform. And what I did just now, I ran a command. This is on my Mac right now. This runs the same in cloud or in Edge and everywhere else. I ran a command to start the rollout of a software factory from nothing. So it's created the Kubernetes cluster. It created UDS Core's cyber stack and the cyber tool we'll discuss in a second. And then it also is starting to roll out the rest of the stack that is software factory. That's also open source, and we can share that link as well. But as you see here, this UI is trying to bring an SRE view, a release engineer's view to the world of what's happening in UDS, and so some of the things here that we're looking at is like the packages that are being deployed right now, or if you're a Kubernetes person, you'll be used to looking at pods and seeing pods. So you can see like GitLab being deployed here in Grafana and Loki and NuVector. And as Andrew said, this is all SSO integrated. And so one of the things we wanted to do here was a zero knowledge SSO configuration. So Keycloak itself, as it rolls out, doesn't know about its credentialing. You create it when you stand the environment up, which means there's no like fake admin accounts or stored secrets in the Kubernetes cluster for your admin account, which is much more secure. And so all these things are auto wired in through our operator we've built. And so you can just continue to add more and more technologies through integration. But as you can see here, you can see like GitLab and all the things that it has to roll out. You can go through and see the events that are occurring and kind of thumb through all the different views of what's being deployed here. This would be like what you might have seen through Lens from Mirantis or Kubernetes dashboard. But there's also things tailored to us like Pepper, so we can observe what Pepper's doing, what the operator's doing, and what's changing, and our policies that they're being enforced, and what's being configured there. You can see any exemptions we've placed here for different things that need to change, and then the UDS package is deployed, and so that can tell us things like we can see the endpoints, and I can see what environments are available, and you can see the auto wiring here for login to Grafana, for example, or to Keycloak or to NuVector, or any of the tools that are deployed by GitLab. So this is all wired and declarative from a single command, and it works the same way whether you're deploying to an edge environment or deploying to the cloud. And so what this gives us is a kind of a flat view to understand all this complexity in a way that we can actually wrap our heads around by reducing cognitive load and bring it into a visualization that also helps us to see what's happening in the cluster and what things are occurring and what we need to care about or be concerned about everywhere across the entire stack, so we can see all these namespaces that were just deployed from a single command. So I think one of the things that I would really talk about there is just as we see this environment roll out, and as we see this entire stack be deployed, the value here is like not only was this just a single declarative deployment, as we go forward and scale this up to many numbers of environments and numbers of clusters, we still have the same exact pattern and the same security posture and the same enforcements. And one of the things that we do is as you integrate things from the App Store, so those App Store integrations, we start with defense in depth. So we lock down all the network traffic going in and out of that deployment or that application through network policies, and you can see those. I mean, it ends up deploying. There's 200 so far that it's auto deployed, and it deploys them as it's rolling out the technologies, and those are controlled by the operator as well. SSO integration is wired in automatically. The Istio service mesh is integrated and wired in automatically. So you have these the policies defined at layer 4 and layer 7, and so all these different layers of security are really hard to do manually and very frustrating. But through the UDS operator, we can actually create those, and just to show an example of what that looks like or what that might be to configure those, we can just pick a random one here like Loki, and you can see the configurations where we say provide an ingress. We're going to wire these things in. Here's the network policies that I need. All that configuration is handled then by Pepper and the operator automatically. And this platform is fully open source. It's all on GitHub. You can see this today. You can pull this down. You can deploy this yourself through the UDS CLI command. And under the hood, this is all still Zarf and Pepper and our open source technologies, just integrated into a unified view that allows us to understand more deeply what's happening. And then I think that's it. Unless Andrew, you had anything else you wanted to add about UDS that I forgot.
Nope, I think you covered it. It's just exciting to have zero trust by default, which is what you talked about. And I know that's the buzzwords that everybody likes to use in there, but it really is zero trust by default. Like you literally can't not have zero trust when you're using UDS.
And we're going to spend some time getting to questions. So if you have any questions, please throw those into chat. But before we get to questions, I'd love to ask you both kind of like what the number one biggest value proposition, why should people be using UDS? Why should they be using the Airgap App Store? I'll get started first. I've had those assignments to where we were working on mission critical applications and we had to deploy those across a number of classified environments. We had overseas environments, we had mission partners environments, we had environments with our contractor base, we had unclassified IL5, we had classified environments, and the program office had to integrate applications at all of those environments, and it was all separate processes, all separate steps, not just from the ATO and accreditation perspective, but even from the technology perspective. It was like on PowerPoint, the environment looked the same. It kind of seemed the same, but when you actually got in the environment, they were all different. And so you would literally spend, months getting to the quote unclassified SIL. And then you would find out once you got there, you honestly weren't any closer to any of the other production environments, and you'd have to go months and months more before you can integrate. And oh, by the way, you still hadn't integrated with your defense industrial base. You still hadn't actually gotten to the operational environment that you intended to with all of the data. So the number one thing I love about UDS is it's integrate once, deploy anywhere. So it's fully declarative and super easy to deploy. It's the exact same process of XARF when it's a similar command structure, fully declarative and with 90+% of the technical controls that program offices are responsible for. So obviously tremendously excited to bring this to folks. For those organizations that want to give it a try, please reach out to us. Love to show you a demo. Love to give you, free, test driving some of the applications that are on the Airgap App Store for you and your program office, but tremendously excited about the ability to integrate once and deploy anywhere. Andrew, I would love to hear in your own words what the number one value proposition is for UDS and the Airgap App Store.
Yeah, I think simply put, UDS makes software delivery easy. There's a lot of complications, a lot of hurdles, a lot of challenges, both in people, tools, and technology across the board as we're trying to deliver capabilities to the warfighter. And UDS does it in a way that's simple. In the demo that I shared today, I literally deployed everything in 7 minutes. So even if I messed up, even if somebody hacks my system, in 7 minutes, I can tear it down and have it back up and running, completely protected again, right? So it's just like, it makes it simple. Yes, there's a lot of work that goes into that, and Defense Unicorns has spent a lot of time, doing a lot of that work, and we're not done by any measure, but that's the fundamental premise here. And then just as an anecdote on this that I can't not help but mention is there's a lot of great innovative efforts in defense that take a good idea, do a live testing event or whatnot. And I've engaged in a bunch of these, and I always ask the leaders of these events, okay, cool. So you have this cool, promising thing, AI transcription, for example. What are you going to do to translate that from this test scenario, this test environment, to live environments where the warfighter can use it for real? And the answer is often, unfortunately, yeah, that's not really our thing that we deal with. With UDS, it is now the thing that we deal with. It's very much we're practicing like we play, and we're doing everything up front so that it's ready to go. The moment I need to flip the switch and run this in an operational environment, I can, because there's already hardening controls put in place. There's already a zero trust system. There's already control response and mappings, right? And then all the things we have to do is just engage with those right officials, AOs or cybersecurity or whatnot, to say, hey, it's all here. Let's just make this happen so that the warfighter can benefit from this innovation that we put together. What about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I think that when we started the company, I was very emphatic that, and Rob was fully supportive of, we had to find some way to build a business, but embrace open source and thrive in that space. And this is hard, as everyone's seen in tech in the past couple of years. Like there's been some major companies who've had to make some tough choices, and we believe open source is the way, and we believe that we can work in the open and build this as community. And I think one of the most powerful things here with UDS is like looking at what we learned with Big Bang and Platform One, and building on all those years and years of learning from all the difficulties we ran into there, and scaling that up and building those technologies. This is non-trivial stuff, and building it in the open with many partners and integrating this stuff the way we're doing is super powerful to me, because it allows us to a level of transparency you don't usually get with a platform as a service. And so not only do you have like this high transparency and this high value in open source and portability, of course, but you have it in a way that doesn't lock you into just this technology because it's just Kubernetes, right? And if you decide that UDS is great and you don't want to use UDS anymore, you can just still use Zarf and Pepper and Lulu. They're still open source projects just like UDS. But if for some reason you decide to move on beyond UDS, you're not stuck with that technology. And this really was important to us when we founded the company, because we've seen many times where we kind of got stuck with the technology because that's what was there, whether it's a language or a platform choice, and then those companies get bought out or they get sold, and then now we're stuck with this technology that might be deprecated because that company no longer prioritizes that product line. And so we wanted something that was back to the basics, back to the fundamentals of Kubernetes, and it was open source, so that no matter what happens with us and our choices in Defense Unicorns, or your decision to align with us, you still have all the tools you need to be successful using this entire line of open source things that doesn't just go away, no matter where we're at or what we're prioritizing. And so I just deeply value open source, and I believe that the building in the open, building transparently, and giving that portability, but also that without locking you into just this platform, is very powerful. And I think it's something that's quite unique in this space.
Going to transition to some questions, so feel free to ask any questions. We'll get started with the first one. Are there organizations using this? Yes, they are. We're not going to go into specifics, but before we announced this to the world, what we were doing, we had been running this in many of our own mission systems, many of our own mission environments. Like I said, not going to go into any specifics, but it is real live in production workloads with ATOs across multiple services and multiple environments, edge and on-prem as well as cloud. And so wanted to prove it before we really announced it to everybody else that it was open for use. For those people who are interested, I'm going to drop a link down at the bottom in the comments section. If you want to see it for yourself, if you want to test drive it, obviously you can just go to GitHub and pull the code yourself, or you could schedule time with us and have an engineer sit with you on the other side, walk through some things. If there's specific apps on the Airgap App Store you want to test drive yourself, please just go to the Contact Us page, reach out to us, and we can set some time up with you to talk, specifically about the capabilities. If you're a mission customer and you want to talk to one of our mission partners, somebody who's actually using it on the government side, please contact us and we can put you in contact with the right folks. On to the next question. Where does Ask Sage tie into this ecosystem? Is this doing document generation for CATO compliance? Not currently. This is fully declarative. But we have the Ask Sage logo up there because we are working with the Ask Sage team to actually get it listed on the Airgap App Store. That's predominantly because we know there's widespread use for Ask Sage. We see a ton of mission value, and we want to bring Ask Sage to more and more mission environments. I also am a huge fan of the out of box ATO documentation stuff that Ask Sage does. The Defense Unicorns team has relied very heavily on things like OSCOW and declarative response generations, to where Ask Sage has really thrived in the document generation side of things. And so there's a place for both. We do not currently use Ask Sage today for that ATO documentation, but I would not be surprised if we ourselves start using it someday in the near future. How much impact has Defense Unicorns contributed to open source projects like Kubernetes, aided in defense buy-in? Fantastic question. I'm probably going to have Jeff answer this, but one of the things that I find super valuable is Defense Unicorns, through a lot of a lot of the amazing folks that we've recruited over the years, is actually the #1 defense tech company in terms of contributions to Kubernetes. And so, I didn't actually check where it was out at the last month, but we're sitting at about 30, sitting like right next to places like Alibaba. Like, why would I bring up a company like that? It's because open source contributions and open source thought leadership is incredibly important, not just to open source community, but to defense systems in the nation. You need to earn your seat at the table, and you earn your seat at the table through active participation and active contributions. You sometimes get into messy bugs and messy situations, and you really need access to the engineers on those projects to be successful. But to talk about like the full Kubernetes aided in defense buy-in experience, Jeff, would love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, and this is super exciting to me. When we created the company, we talked about could we possibly get actually open source like upstream contributors to Kubernetes and to these other projects, Keycloak, for example. And we didn't know like that was like we hoped we could, but we couldn't get them when we were in defense. Like we couldn't get to them for at the companies they were at. So if you look at the stats for CNCF, you can go look yourself for this. I will drop a link. For last month's contributions, we were number 21 company rank wise across the world for Kubernetes contributions. I mean, that's ahead of Apple. Like there's another number of large companies that we're ahead of just in the past month for Kubernetes contributions because we've been hiring core maintainers. And what this does, to Rob's point, a specific example, Zarf, one of now OpenSSF's projects, has had this bug that's actually a Kubernetes bug that's been in existence for a very long time that we've been working through to resolve. And our engineers have identified how to fix this, but just because you know how to fix it, you do a PR doesn't mean it just gets right into the upstream project. So our team has been working to kind of shepherd that through and get that into the releases, and it's incredible to watch. Like just to see this team identify the problem, see it, document it, get it up to the upstream, and now get it into releases is frankly humbling because it's such a large project that affects so many operations across the world. And so for us to be up there in the top couple dozen companies across the planet and contribution wise for Kubernetes is a personal goal that's super exciting. But I think more to the point of like, how does this benefit defense? Well, defense doesn't have as many of these reach in points to get to the upstream to resolve their issues. And this allows us to prioritize those better so that we can deliver faster and better. Because sometimes the software that's broken isn't yours. Sometimes it's somebody else's. And if you have people who are maintainers on those projects, you have a much more better foothold to actually get what you need to get done than if you're just mother may I on GitHub issues over and over.
Okay, awesome. Let's see if we can get the next question. Charles, great seeing you. Appreciate the question. What's the user account process for UDS instances? First thing I'll say is Charles would love to give you a demo, sit down with you and your team or anyone you're working with, spend a little bit more time showing you around, showing you what it's capable of doing. But to answer your question, Andrew, I'd love you to take the first swing.
Yeah. So under the covers, actually, before I say that, with UDS, we know that IDAM SSO is an important thing to have tied into authorization, authentication, all those pieces. So that's the core fundamental thing to understand will exist. Today, we implement that through a series of tools, one of them being Keycloak. So out of the box, we have through the UDS operator, tie into that system, that API, so that we can automate the integration of SSO, the creation of groups, all that stuff. But regardless of that, we also have the opportunity to just go into Keycloak itself and manage and configure any groups or users and everything like that built in. With the UDS operator, though, that's the coolest part about all this. There's just a few lines of YAML, like in the Jupyter example that I gave. I think it's like literally 8 lines of code integrates that entire SSO system with the backing of the SSO that's in UDS. So hopefully I answered your question. If not, let me know.
Okay, with that, we're gonna end it before the 30-minute mark. We appreciate you all sitting down and talking with us for a period of time. If you haven't yet, go to apps.defenseunicorns.com to check out the Airgap App Store. Please also go to our website, contact us. We'd love to show you more than what we've showed on this short little demo. Love to give you free access to, some apps that might provide out, value to your mission. So please contact us if you'd like to learn more. We're incredibly proud with how hard the team has been working to bring this to life. It's been many years to get to this point. And, we're ready to show, what UDS is capable of to anyone that's willing to listen. So appreciate your time. And, hope everybody has a great rest of your day.